So this is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. I'm in Mérida, Mexico on the Yucatan. Just finished my run and enjoying this beautiful morning, and had some thoughts that I wanted to share. About the misconception of the end of suffering. To end suffering, you don't have to quit believing anything. To end suffering, you don't have to believe something new. And to end suffering, you don't have to quit believing something. Beliefs are a four-dimensional paradigm that you've stored in what I'll call memory, and that you recall to make decisions and make plans. And within your memory are attached categorizations, understandings, beliefs, everything you've learned that was emotionally charged enough to remember has some belief, good or bad, right or wrong, attached to it, or some instruction about how to get through life. Your mind's there to protect you. It's filtering perception, and it's relying on, standing on, almost unknowingly, an amalgamation of a four-dimensional space that you believe. And you pay attention to your mind because it's there to protect you, and you listen to its evaluations that it makes based upon beliefs, and you make decisions. Are they telling the truth? Are they lying? Are they right? Are they wrong? Is their political position accurate? Normally they're honest, but this time they're lying. All of the perceptions you make in your everyday life, everything that you think is being a human, exists in this dialogue between an ongoing filtered perception of what's happening each moment, and filtered against your four-dimensional model of the world. And whenever something happens around you that doesn't fit the model, you either change the model slightly for the one exception, or you blow up part of the model, which rarely happens, honestly. And so all of this exists in the domain where the suffering is. But there's another domain that doesn't get rid of the suffering domain. You can't get rid of your mind. Your mind is your mind's is the wrong word. So your mind's the manifestation of the human condition. All humans have it. I suspect it doesn't make any difference, but it might be partly what makes us different from animals. This idea that we can create a model, and we test every day. We're testing the model to see if it's accurate, and we're changing it, augmenting, adding, making it more complex, our model of the world, so we can make decisions. So all of that requires you to monitor perception, foreign beliefs, and monitor your day-to-day activities to make sure you're in compliance with your values and beliefs, and to pick your friends, pick your job, know when to give advice, when not to, everything about being a human that history tells us a human exists in this perception, instantaneous perception, measured against the four-dimensional model. What are the four dimensions? X, Y, and Z. Everything that's ever happened in your life, you're at the center of the universe. You're 0x, 0y, 0z, and then over time, and all of the perceptions you've made, all the decisions you've made, it's all in that model, and there's an amalgamation of it that occurs over time because you can't remember every specific event in your life, and really the only reason you're perceiving at all, I take that back, while you perceive, you just perceive because that's how you are. You measure everything against the model, and you augment the model, you change the model, you remodel the model. Whenever it goes out of whack, you might be disoriented for a few weeks or months, but eventually you find your steadiness as you change the model based on the facts that have been inconsistent with the model, and you find it back mostly, whatever that is, 95% accurate, 90, 95, 99, I don't know what the numbers are, they make no difference. All of that is the world of being a human being, and that's where all the suffering is. And so there's a world around you that's not, that all of that exists in. That's sort of like a fish swimming in the ocean. Your four-dimensional model and your perception comes through your fish eyes. The model itself is from your fish experience, but it's also true that you're in an ocean, right? And this is the part that people don't see, they have trouble seeing, they try to see, they hear about it being possible to see it, but most people live and die and never understand the ocean around them. And that's what the Buddha was talking about. That's what I personally believe the Buddha was talking about, Christ. That's what Hindus are talking about. The word enlightenment, heaven on earth, the hereafter, all of these things that talk about a better place if you're a good person, a better place at this, a better place at that. All of that is talking about an awareness of the water around the swimming fish. And the reason is because all the pain of life comes, all of the pain that you experience in your life occurs when the model is not predicting present events accurately. And you have to be uncomfortable because life is not turning out like your model says it should be. This person's winning when they shouldn't be. That person's losing, they shouldn't be. This is the right team. Why did this happen to me? I'm a good person. All of those why questions that come up. Why can't I find enlightenment? Every observation that's inconsistent with the model is what creates the suffering in your life. Why are they treating me this way? Why didn't this job turn out to be fun? When I was a kid, I enjoyed this, I don't anymore. What happened to my relationships? What happened to my family? What happened to my kids? What happened to my lover? If the world is this way now, that doesn't make any sense. Why is the world going in this direction? Why is it going in that direction? Why do I feel this way? I followed the model. I did, or I didn't. I knew a shortcut. I took it that I thought would work. It didn't. I thought it was smarter than everyone else. Why am I not? See, all of that, all of those are questions where suffering arises. Suffering arises in your life when you stop and look and say, what is wrong right now? Why do I have this pain? And over time, eventually, you look for solutions like, how do I get my model to conform more quickly to reality so that I can stop this pain. How do I get myself to do what I need to get the kind of life that I thought I deserved, that I thought I was worthy of? Or how do I get myself to stop hating myself? Why is it? See, all of that is a mind that's swimming upstream from the evidence. All of that is an integration of a present perception that's inconsistent with a model and an observation of pain in your body because of the model and what you think, the way you think things should be. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. You feel the pain? It's not. The pain comes in the mind's observation. The pain is mind generated. And I could talk about that for weeks. Like, why would the mind create pain? Why, blah, 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 blah. That's just another version of the same thing. Why? How? Where? Why? How? Where? See, the mind's trying to outsmart reality. The mind wants to find the shortcut. And it's not really even a shortcut. You're willing to take the long route. You just, how, where, why, how, where, why, better, how can I make it better? I thought when I made 10 million it would be right. I thought when I got the right house, the right car, why, how, why, how? Don't you see? Don't you see where the pain is? The pain is in the mind's observation that the model is not matching, that life is not turning out like you want it. And that's all the fish. That's what a fish does. See, you're a fish. You swim in the ocean. You think you end at your skin. Me, my eyes, I see. Me, my eyes, I see. My model, I read, I'm smart, I think, I do, I act. Oh, I'm in the mouth of a shark. Oh, I'm in the mouth of a whale. Oh, why me? Why me? I'm a good person. Why me? See, what I'm telling you is that you're being a human being. That's what it looks like. You're not doing it wrong. It doesn't matter which human you pick in the world. They're all doing the same thing. Their mind is running like that. It doesn't matter how good they get it, how good they have it. You think that if you get in their body and you swim where they're swimming, that you're going to feel better. That's all a farce. And that's hard to swallow. And that's why movie stars, that's why people that think when they get the right this, the right that, all the money, everything, and they suddenly realize there's no hope. They did get the right spouse, they did get the right job, now they got all the money, and now they're still whining. How? Who? That part? No. This job? That person over there? It doesn't stop. See, and so this is what could drive you to several places. And what I'm recommending is that it drive you somewhere that people have been talking about for thousands of years in almost all of the spiritual teachings. But very, very few people are able to achieve. And it's not an achievement, it's a grace. And that is to be the water around the fish. And another way to say it is to be detached. To be detached, to see the mind. Why? How? Oh, me, ah. And to see that is the purpose of the mind. See, the mind is not there to make you happy. The mind is there to figure out what needs to happen next in order to make you happy. The mind is not interested in you being happy right now. The mind does not know how to have a happy moment. That's not its job. And yet, You keep pulling it out, saying, all right, mind, what do we need to do next? And you keep relying on it and making it wrong and thinking things are going to change. And all of that is to raise your consciousness. All of that. And by the way, you don't need to believe that. There's nothing I'm saying you need to believe. All you need to do is observe. Do I feel pain in my body? Do I feel pain in my body? Do I judge myself for having that pain? Do I try to change the environment around me to stop the pain? And then later, maybe it works for a little while, then I get more pain. See, all you have to do is see the fish from outside the fish. That's what enlightenment is. It's just seeing the fish from outside the fish, which means letting the fish be a fish. And instead of attaching to that suffering, instead of attaching to the suffering that you're unable to help that person or yourself in the way that you thought you could based on your model, and that the world didn't turn out that way, and to see that as a tool, to step back and see your mind and go, oh, the mind's job is not to fix anything. The mind's job is to find out what needs to be fixed and to attach pain to it, to try to motivate you to change your life. That's what the mind's job is. The mind's job is to attach pain to a decision you make, to try to get you to act different. The mind's job is to attach pain to a thought, to get you to take action. The mind's job is to attach pain and judgment and suffering to your existence as a human being in order to motivate you to change the model. The mind has no purpose to give you joy. If the mind gives you joy at all, it's a comparison. It's a short-lived comparison when you buy that new car and you go from the dealership to your house, or maybe a day or two, could even be a week. But eventually something will grab your attention, and that success of that new car, that new job, that new whatever you did that you're proud of, takes a back seat, and now something else is a problem. The model's wrong again. This needs to be fixed. Yeah, I got a new car, but yeah, there's other things going on. That's the mind's job. The mind's job is not to bring you happiness. The place that happiness exists in your life, oh, these two pigeons looks like they're kissing almost. I'm walking around in a park, by the way, that's why there's not so many cars today, or they're further away. The thing that makes you happy is experience. Not your judgment about experience, but living in the experience. And the problem is that our minds are so busy trying to create pain in our life in order to motivate us to do something different at this moment, and creating the fear that if we don't do it, that things will get worse. And it's been doing it for so long, and it's our good friend. Our mind is our good friend. It's been with us since we came out of our mother. That it's like advice from a trusted person, and so when it speaks, we latch onto it and we believe it. And it's there to help us, so we don't need to judge it. We don't need to fix it. We don't need to change it. We just need to let it be. Let the mind do its job. And while it's doing it, step out of the fish. Let it do its job. Let it run its con. And just take a deep breath, step out of the fish and be in the water and say, hey, what's the temperature out here? Hey, look, there's water around us. How deep is it? How wide is it? How tall to the surface? Oh my goodness, there's light up there. See, you have the capacity. Your mind does not have the capacity, or it has very little capacity to multitask. But the thing is, your mind in many respects ends at your skin, but your experience of the universe goes in all directions. Possibly infinitely. And none of that, you don't need to believe that, but your experience of the universe doesn't end at your skin. It goes up, it goes down, it goes in all directions, and it goes forward and backward in time. It doesn't have, there's no restrictions on your perception of everything going on in you all at the same time, and while your mind's running. And so what you need to do is you need to melt into the universe and experience everything around you without turning it into a mind function. Like, you just melt into everything around you all at once. You melt into the floor, the flowers, the trees, the cars, the buildings, and experience everything all at once. And the only joy you'll ever experience in life, the only joy that you'll truly and authentically ever experience in life, will come from your perception of what's going on outside the fish. The fish can give you an orgasm, whether it's sex or, a taste of food. Perception of the first order, a kiss. All of those things are wonderful, but they're temporary. And they're tainted by whether your mind judges them as good or bad, or it could have been a better kiss, or this other kiss is better than that kiss. I really like this dessert, but I remember my grandma used to make it better. That experience doesn't have any of that. It's outside the fish. And it's the most joyful thing you can ever experience. So I can't make you experience the world outside the fish. And there's no process. There's no process to being the ocean. It's a concept that you've been maybe not focusing on or unaware of. It's a way of being. It's a way of being, of living happily ever after with your mind. And not like in storybooks, because your mind is very clever. It will grab you and rip your heart out once in a while until you wake up and let go again. Your mind is very clever. It knows how to create pain in your body in order to change your actions. And so once you've understood there's a way of being that includes, there's part of me that's a fish, but I am the awareness. I'm the ocean in which the fish swims. So that's a concept, right? That's a concept, and that you can believe in or not believe in. See, this isn't in the belief area. This is in the experience area. Your religion, you should believe. You should believe whether or not pi goes on. The mathematical concept of pi goes on forever. Whether you believe in this God or that God, whether your favorite food is this, your ice cream, there's all this whole four-dimensional model that you've created, and that you're going to perceive life through. That's a single point of view perception and modeling. But the actual experience of living your life is where the joy is. And that exists. That is what the mind lives in. The mind and the mind's perception, the mind's limited perception of the awareness is where the mind is. And but being alive or not determines whether there's joy in your life. And so And joy without purpose. Joy without purpose. Not joy because it's a nice day, not joy because it's the weekend, not joy because. See, because is a belief. Not joy because you're married, not joy because you're divorced, not joy because you got a new boy. It's a different kind of joy. It's just a joy without purpose. It's your natural joy that you were born with because consciousness exists in you. Whether or not you're willing to acknowledge or able to acknowledge or able to see that there is an ocean around you where all the joy exists in a detachment from a belief that you are only a fish and that the ocean is not available to you. And finally, so the mind is so powerful that it's a grace if you can be aware. It's a grace if you can be aware. It's grace if you can be in heaven on earth. It's pure grace, meaning you are not going to deserve this. I don't deserve this. I am not better than you. I didn't learn a technique. I can't even give you a technique. There are many techniques, and some techniques have helped some people and others have helped others. But what I can recommend is that you go on the journey. You go on the journey to begin to ask this question: what is it to be? What is it to have a temporary time on this planet in a fish's body and to experience the ocean around you joyfully while your mind is upset? That's all I can say is that's a question that you can live in, and that's, what is it to be in the present moment while your mind is speaking or while it's not? What is that? What is it to be highly focused on perception itself without focusing on any individual thing within the field of perception? Not even labeling it. Not even saying, oh, that's a tree, or it's green, or that's a flower, there's a bird, but just perceiving everything simultaneously without being limited by what your mind knows about it or what your mind believes about it, but allowing your mind to believe it, allowing your mind to do what it does without fighting it, but to be with all of the perception simultaneously. And all of that is in the same space where where you're listening to and believing your mind. It's just your peripheral vision needs to open up somehow. And I know, because I know what it's like to live a life in suffering, because I'm so focused on the just brilliant, intelligent, deeply thought out things my mind is dragging me through dirt as it thinks about and has opinions about. I know, and rarely a day goes by where I don't wake up again and go, oh, my mind was attaching pain to my existence. My mind was just attaching pain to my body. I felt it. And the moment that happens, it doesn't change anything maybe about my actions. It often will not change my actions. What it does is it changes how living feels. An awareness of that your mind is attaching pain to your body, and that you have, and that just the seeing of that reduces the level of the excruciating pain. That is such a powerful thing in your life. So anyway, rambling on and enjoying a beautiful day here. We're headed on a day tour to the Gulf of Mexico and a pink lake and flamingos. And anyway, glad you're here. Thanks for being here.